So how do you generalize so getting to socialization, right? It's very easy for us to socialize, right? Like at facilities and stuff. We have so many dogs at our disposal. We have such a controlled way we can do it. We can make sure everybody stays safe. We could, move the needle along and stuff like that. One thing that I think a lot of owners really struggle with is this idea of socializing their dog on their own outside of the training facility, especially if the dog has had any sort of history of dog issues, right? So how do you start to get people in a place where they feel confident going and doing some of those things on their own?
Honestly, really good question. And I don't know if you guys have an answer for this, but I think this is one of the toughest things to do right now in the industry.
Yeah.
Where do you tell your clients to go to make dog friends? How do you tell them to start socializing?
Yeah.
They don't have a facility. What do you do? We always tell people, like, this is something we haven't done yet, but we always told people we're going to make a Facebook group for the clients. I don't know why we haven't done it yet. I always talk about it and I don't do it. Yeah. And they can connect with similar personality types, dogs that their dog may like, or maybe dogs that their dog has met through boarding, and they can meet up and hang out.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is if people have local parks, like not a dog park, but a local park where they scout and they see, hey, this dog seems really social. He doesn't seem pushy. He doesn't seem shy. Seems like the right fit for my dog. You can approach that person and say, hey, like my dog's not very aggressive, but I'm still working on making sure he meets polite friends that will help build the socialization. You can try asking people, but I do find people are really shy to do this. Yeah. So this is a problem that I've been trying to figure out, and I don't really have an answer. Yeah. They come see us for sessions, they board, they do daycare, but doing it on your own is I find very hard.
We find that, owners will perpetually find themselves in a trap of just constantly coming to us for daycare, which is great, right? Like obviously from our standpoint, it's like, hell yeah, like come to daycare, right? It's great, it's a good outlet. But just like training, I think we forget sometimes socialization needs to be generalized, right? And into different types of environments with different dogs. And inevitably, we always see with owners, the dog acts a little bit differently with the trainer around versus with the trainer not around and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is where I think it gets really challenging sometimes. So like we don't really have a great, it's funny, you brought up the Facebook group thing. We've talked about that before. And there's actually another local trainer that I saw them one time. They set up what I thought was a really cool idea, which is they did this like I think it was for like Valentine's Day or something. They made this like quirky little like for the owners, they like swapped information of like two dogs that were like really like they liked each other at boarding or daycare or something like that, and got them to like set up like a little play date with the dogs.
Oh, and nice.
I thought that was like a really great idea because especially if those dogs already have a good relationship, like you're removing the risk of them meeting a new dog and there might be a different adverse reaction or something like that. And you're generalizing that play date to a new place where they could then cultivate that relationship and start doing it on their own, And it's funny, like the park thing you brought up and stuff like that. Like obviously as dog trainers, we always talk about like dog parks suck, right? We don't like them, this, that. And I do agree with that, right? But it's unfortunate because like some dog-friendly places, like we have a dog beach by us that's like an off-leash dog park area, right? We have a bunch of different types of dog parks from like really large, like acres and acres of land ones to like really small ones in the city and stuff like that. And it's like, in theory, they're a good idea. You know what I mean? Like a central place that you could take your dog to go interact with other dogs. It's just in practice, everything falls apart, But you can, in some contexts, like assess the situation, right? And see, does it seem like the owners are being responsible with their dog? Does the dog seem like it's polite and well-mannered? Is it chaos in it right now? Is there maybe only one or two dogs in? And you can utilize it to your advantage. Sometimes it's just such a gamble sometimes,
No, I agree. I've always been telling people if a dog park did not have a fence, if it was not fenced in, I think it would be a little better just because the people who have dogs that would likely run away or not listen or just parade around all day, they would never show up because their dogs could run away. Yeah. But I think the fence makes the dog park worse because this is where everyone goes every day to socialize and tire out their dogs because they can't trust their dog doing anything else. So I think a fence removed would be great.
That's a really great point. And thinking about it, like, so there was a couple like places that I could think of, like in the greater Cleveland area, that were like the unspoken off-leash dog parks,
Yes.
That did seem like the dogs were much more responsible. But then like you run the risk of like in those types of places, like we've also had, like there's this apartment complex by our facility, like massive, new apartment building and stuff that has this like big courtyard area that's just turned into the dog park, right? And there'll be like 10 dogs there at all times and stuff. And the problem is though, like we have a lot of clients that live in that area, right? And they'll go for walks through the neighborhood and stuff, and they can't can't even walk around their apartment complex because these dogs are constantly off leash in an uncontained area. And then you get dogs running across the street to try to like come after them and this and that. And it just turns into such a mess, you know?
Oh my goodness.
But getting back to like, sometimes you have to work with what you have. Like we had a client recently come in from, she's from Cleveland, but she lives in Colorado, and she came up to spend like 5 days with me, right? And do like one-on-one sessions and stuff like that. And she was having some dog aggression issues in Colorado. Obviously, all the dogs are off leash all the time in the mountains and stuff like that. And there's like no avoiding them, right? And like we broke like every rule in our book of like, we started just taking this dog to the local dog places and just kind of forcing him to cohabitate in this and get used to being around other dogs, right? And kind of made the best of the worst situation that she was in, because it's not like she could like avoid dogs forever on the walks and only have these like controlled setups. It's like, this dog is gonna meet dogs when you leave your front door. So let's make sure we look at that situation and figure out, if he's gonna meet those dogs, what are all the steps we could put in place to at least make the risk as low as possible, and hopefully actually move this needle in the right direction of him learning to like being around other dogs.
Exactly. Exactly. One of the goals we always have when a dog does a board and train here is we want to make them as socially indestructible, like unable to be phased as possible before they go home, because we always know what happens with the client, because when a client brings their dog in for a board and train or even daycare, and let's say the dog is not social, we always find that the client, after the daycare or after board and train, they start saying, hey, my dog's doing great now with dogs. I'm going to try tackling the dog park, or I'm going to go to the nearby park. And then very quickly things go sour. But I just know they do this. And we've heard of many people tell us these stories. And, you know, if we make our dogs really strong here, really socially strong, the fallout is not as bad. I've always found too, you can warn people over and over and over, but there are certain personalities, they just really need to learn from experience.